the Making Moves podcast, where we talk relocating and real estate in the Dominican Republic. It's a beautiful day here on the North Coast. We are at this one-of-a-kind beachfront boutique hotel in East Cabarete. This hotel is owned and operated by my guest today, Mr. Ben. We just call him Ben Barefoot. We don't actually know his last name. He is known as Barefoot Ben. And in today's episode, we're going to be talking about running a successful Airbnb business in the DR, specifically on the North Coast. And I have asked Ben to join me on this episode because he's a smart businessman.
Not true, Josie. Absolutely
you are.
Not
you
true.
are. And you've not only built, but you've scaled, like physically built, like you built
Right.
this hotel, but also scaled this business to a really, really great place. So, funny story is I didn't know you were my neighbor for a long time, and like the only conversations we really had were on WhatsApp. Like I brought a few like investors here, and I was conversing with you on WhatsApp, and I wanted to use your party bus one time, but I'd never met you. And then the other day, we were walking your dog, I was walking my kids, and you're like, "Are you Josie?" And I'm like, "Oh my gosh!"
Yeah.
And it turns out we live on the same street.
Literally.
I almost bought your house. I was this close to buying.
I'm glad you
the house
didn't,
you live
as
in.
is my wife.
Yes.
We love the house. We just
it's
bought
a
it.
beautiful house.
Yeah.
So Ben,
Yes.
can you please give us an introduction? Tell us
Sure.
where you came from and how you ended up in the DR.
Wow, that's a long story, but
That's fine.
we'll do the Cliff Note version.
Okay.
I was born in Israel, raised mostly in the United States of America. I lived all over the world. I was a journalist for Reuters for 20 plus years. My wife was also a journalist.
That's how you met?
Yeah,
Cool.
that's a whole nother podcast, Josie. But basically, she is of Dominican descent. She was
Okay.
born in New York, but her parents and her grandparents are from here. And she is the reason I'm here. I mean, in the end of the day, her overall dream, Evelyn's dream, was to have a spot in the DR when she retired. I came into the picture after that. So Evelyn already bought this land and started building this place.
Really?
And then I came in right around there.
Yeah.
And then basically, after 20 plus years of journalism, we loved it. We were in Los Angeles at the time. It came down to a point where we were in Los Angeles and we're like, we don't see our kids, who were young still. We love our jobs, but we want a different life. So having had this place, but not having it as a functional business,
Yeah.
I guess I had an early midlife crisis, and one day said, we're just going to do this and come here. And that's what we did. So when we came here, Barefoot was basically one of those North Coast properties where people would rent a room here and there. They used to have kitchenettes in the rooms here.
Yes.
And I realized that it was a lot of fun living here. Loved drinking the rum and everything. But in terms of business, there wasn't much of it, right? And it was very much a high season, low season business, Snowbirds come in, snowbirds leave. If you're lucky, kite surfers come in the summer for a bit,
Yeah.
and then they leave. So a couple things happened at that point. Mostly, we just had to rethink our business. And thankfully, it's a lot easier to do these days than it would have been, say, before Airbnb and VRBO, which really give you tools to redefine what you want to do.
Yeah.
So for us, I basically thought, how do I increase our revenue? And it was really hard. If you're renting one room, and you only have 10 rooms, it's a small boutique hotel on this property.
Yeah.
We have a couple more, but you're never going to make the kind of money that a conventional hotel equation would call for, right? So, funnily enough, before COVID, we said, what if we just rent it out for groups?
Yep.
And see where that goes.
Yep.
So we started advertising it as just a group spot. And then COVID hit. And we were like, okay, maybe I should have thought about this before I gave up the 401k earning job back in the US.
Yeah.
But then COVID ended, and COVID was basically a huge boon for us.
Huge boom?
Boon,
Yeah.
boon, boom. I guess
Yeah.
you can call it whatever you want.
Yeah.
Because it rewired what people think about travel. You know, so if Airbnb disrupted how travel would work, COVID did it for the human brain.
Right.
Basically, the idea right after the pandemic, or even like literally right after, and still kind of sits in there, is do you really want to be on a buffet line with 100 other people at the moment? Not necessarily, for a lot of people. Some couldn't care one way or
Right.
the other. So what happened with us is that we basically saw these groups that wanted to travel again. They'd been stuck in their homes. And they wanted to see the people that they wanted to hang out with most, be it family or close friends. But they wanted to be safe. So what happened is that we started getting these groups. And because they wanted to be here, we had to cater to that. So we started offering them services. We're going to give you an all-inclusive experience.
Yep.
From picking you up from planning your trip via Zoom calls, which we all now love,
Yeah.
before you arrive,
Cool.
to picking you up at the airport, to bringing you here, to we would have picked your menus for you. We know what drinks you like at the bar, and you get to do this kind of
Very
experience
customized.
and then go home. So that happened, and then you would think, okay, but then COVID ended, and maybe things go back to normal. The opposite happened, because what happens? We live in a real-time world.
Yeah.
So what happens? All these groups would come, they'd leave these amazing reviews. And then people see those reviews, and they're like, well, yeah, we could still go back to Orlando or Punta Cana in this case. But why don't we try this? Because it's, you know, economical, it's different, and Airbnb says via, you know, a vetted 40 review process
Yeah.
that it's something good. So that's what we've done, and we've managed to increase our business in a huge way because of
Good.
that. So that's the short introduction.
Yeah, no, that's perfect. You covered so many things I wanted to talk about.
Right.
And also, I remember when I originally talked to you, you said that there was a lot of conflict when you were just renting it out room by room. Like you would have like a retired couple in one room, and then like a businessman trying to work in another room, and then, you know, a couple of bachelors like that just are here to party in another
Right.
room. And it was just this conflict and this contrast.
Yep.
So now it's like, okay, you want to have a bachelor party, you come here, you rent out the whole place, do whatever you want. Like
Right.
you guys are all on the same page, you all want to be up late, like that's great. Or
Yep.
you want to come here as a family and just chill, you're all going to be on the same vibe, right? So that's
Exactly.
really cool, and that's a huge reason why it's been so
And
successful for
it's
you.
successful on that it appeals to different types of group,
Mm-hmm.
which really is the biggest difference that we have here under our group, the Barefoot group, is that there are, you know, conventionally 2 seasons here, which I mentioned before.
Yep.
High season, snowbirds,
Yep.
kite surfers. Low season, dead.
season.
The group business is different. Barefoot, we are proud to say, in 2022, is going to hit an 85% occupancy rate for the year,
That's
which
crazy.
is unheard of for here. It's good in any books, no
Yeah.
matter where you are in the world.
Yep.
And that's what the group business brings. There are people traveling in groups all the time because there's different types of groups.
Mm-hmm.
They don't care what time it is. If it's a corporate retreat, it's okay, right? We don't need the kids off of school,
Yeah.
per se. If it's a wedding, we can do it at another time. It doesn't have to be during spring break, right?
Well, and I feel like that other 15% that you aren't booked, it's like you showed me your calendar. It's you literally shutting down to do renovations and maintenance and all these things that you literally have to shut down for. I'm sure if you didn't have those few weeks blocked off, it would be 100% booked.
It would be upwards of 90% booked, but believe me, we've learned from this year, and we actually are going to try to aim for a 75% occupancy rate for 2023.
Okay.
We're already at 40%, which is amazing, just because the whole point of living on the island, I mean, I think this is the biggest thing I can tell anyone. Don't lose track of that thought. We come here to have a new life,
Yeah.
to be with your kids, to stare at this beautiful ocean, to enjoy the ocean, to have a tranquilo life, as we would say down here.
Yes, absolutely.
And it's very easy to lose sight of that sometimes. And, you know, maintenance is everything. You can't chase the dollar if you're constantly not looking to make it the best experience for people. Because that's the flip side to that coin of Airbnb and VRBO and real-time reviews. You can't mess it up.
Yeah.
You know, 1 or 2 bad reviews, people are reading this, like
Yeah.
someone checks out, they did not have a good time, that has a tangible effect on my bottom line.
Yeah.
So if you're overworked and if your staff is overworked, you're not necessarily going to be in a good place.
Totally.
So, yeah.
100%. So I kind of want to just get back to basics for somebody who is, considering maybe investing in their first or 50th short-term rental property in the DR. How easy is it for a foreigner to come here, invest in a property, and start and successfully run an Airbnb?
So that's a big one there. It's definitely possible, and the tools are there to make it easier than, say, 10 years ago, but even 5 years ago. So let's break it down a little bit, right? First things first.
You don't need a visa or any sort of residency to invest here?
No. So first things first, what you need to know is the lay of the land, and you need a real good person on the island, and that comes in two forms. One, a really good real estate agent that's been here, there she is, for a long time, or that knows the land, knows the people, knows the politics of the beach, knows all that stuff.
Yeah.
Knows the condo communities that are not doing as well as other ones, knowing what the limitations of buying a place within a place that has rules, and Airbnb and VRBO. And the other one is having a really good lawyer. I mean, I can't stress that enough. You need to know what the laws are down here, and that would be anywhere, but especially in a place that you don't know, that's not where you're from. Your lawyer is going to be the one that kind of gives you that checklist.
Yeah.
But honestly, that's the beauty of the Dominican Republic. They love foreign investment, and their government is stable, and they're set up for it. The banks are serious, That's the biggest thing I get when I meet with investors. Okay, so I'm going to invest, 6 figures here. I'm going to invest 7 figures here. Is this safe? And I can honestly say that if you do the checklist and you have the right lawyers and you do your homework, it is absolutely safe. So you don't need a visa, you don't need any of these things. These things will come as part of your process. To get a permanent visa here, especially if you're investing on the island, is not a hard thing to do at all.
Yeah. But I want to also just touch on the fact that, yes, it is easy to invest here because the government, they want that foreign investment. They incentivize that foreign investment. But this is the #1 tourist destination in the Caribbean.
Yep.
We have the highest occupancy rates in the Caribbean.
Yep.
We have the lowest building costs, some of the lowest land costs. So it's like all these things are kind of in your favor when it comes to investing here. Yeah,
and it's also more on a macro level, specifically the North Coast is great. You kind of look at the North Coast now and you think, what is it going to be in 5 years from now? What is it going to be in 10 years from now? I tell people, you go to Punta Cana or you go to a Sandals in Punta Cana compared to a Sandals in somewhere in Jamaica or somewhere in the Bahamas, that's the same experience, It doesn't matter which island you're on.
Yeah.
The North Coast has a lot of flavor,
It does.
It's still a place that, has its root. It has, I think, if not the biggest concentration of expats on the island.
Yeah.
Meaning there's money here. But you could still go out to any restaurant and, the Italian restaurants run by Italians.
Yeah.
The Chinese food is run by Chinese people. Seriously, if you're from America and you're looking for General Tso's chicken, you're not going to find it.
Yeah.
These people are from China. There's world-class food here. There's still a vibe here. There's bars here that have a spectrum of people, from Olympic kite surfers and surfers to people just chilling and retiring, to local people that are artists, all at the same bar.
Yeah.
It hasn't been monetized to that extent yet, which is really cool.
Yeah.
The good news is that it's getting there. So I think investing here now is one of these things that you kind of have to put a timer on, because it's
not going to dip. People are like, oh, well, wait till the market dips and things get cheaper. Sorry,
Yeah.
y'all, not going to happen
Not
anytime soon. Not here. It's just...
And that's one of my things. I have a lot of different pieces of advice when people ask me about what to buy, this and that. But you know, at the end of the day, keep it stupid simple, which your good friend Brett Henry loves to mention at all times. You know, beachfront land is a commodity. It doesn't go away. You can't make more of it. These are all very true things. And there's not that much of it left, you know? Here's the airport. How far are people willing to travel from that airport? Paint a little circle. That's it. And those numbers will never dip, and they will only go up. And that rate of acceleration of the price, in my opinion, is just going to go higher and higher.
Yeah, it'll skyrocket. And so your plan, because right now your baby, baby number one, Barefoot, is for sale, and your plan is to kind of take that capital and do it all over again.
Again, for me, it's a personal thing. If you ask my accountant or my lawyer, and sometimes my wife, I'm crazy for trying to sell a place like this. It's, you know, insanely profitable for various reasons that we might touch upon. But the thing is that I had a plan when I came here, you know? My vision was to come here, get this place going, 5 years good financial, sell it off, stay on possibly as a, you know, as a manager, because the way things work here, there's bookings on this place for the next, you know, 12 months, 24 months down the road.
Yeah.
I still want a foot in the game.
Yeah. But
to pull out some liquid at the age of 45, I'd love to do it one more time.
Yeah.
You know, and to do that requires liquid.
So who would be an ideal investor for Barefoot? Somebody who kind of wants to
an equity group, someone that doesn't want anything, someone that literally just wants to park their money and have an investment that's earning them an ROI.
Yeah.
And it may happen or may not, you know, but thankfully for our group, we're in a good position. We're partnering up with various people.
Yeah, so I want to touch on that because all these other boutique hotels have seen your success, and they've kind of reached out to you and been like, can you come into our business and flip it into your business model, which is the large group model, and what has happened, you know, to these other boutique hotels since you came in and did your thing?
Well, they've all been very happy. I mean, the good thing is that we're coming from a place of having made a lot of mistakes, because you do with any new business, especially if you're writing the script for it as you go, right? Yeah. But we've made those mistakes, so we're pretty solid on what we are, and we have math to back it up now. You know, it's not one of these things like if we do this or we do that. Like when I go to a new property, like I did for Playa Laguna, which we opened up earlier this year, and we're still renovating. I mean, we just put in a basketball court there, we just put in a jacuzzi there, but we've had to do it between groups. We thought that we would have time, you know. Oh, there's not going to be so many bookings right up front. Wrong. Bookings immediately, and you know, so we needed to again close off time to make these things happen.
Yeah.
But we can actually look statistically at what having a jacuzzi on a listing will increase your rate of successes. Cool. Like basketball courts, because that's the beauty of reviews for Airbnb, or even if it's a direct booking, people give you feedback. Yeah. Like, man, this is awesome. But if it had A or it had B, and I'm just sitting back going, tick, tick, okay. I mean, I think one of the funniest things is that we hope to have, well, we try to have a jacuzzi, a hot tub jacuzzi with hot water.
Actually hot.
In the DR. And everyone, if you go to 9 out of 10 spots here, they have beautiful jacuzzis with extremely lukewarm water.
But they're not hot.
But they're not hot tubs. Yeah. And I'm thinking, well, it's 85 degrees. Do you need a hot tub? And the answer is absolutely. Why? Because the clients want one. They want to sit under the stars, and even though it's 75 degrees at night, they want to sit there, have their champagne at New Year's Eve. And guess what? The hot tub will cost you about $10,000 to $15,000, depending on size. You will make that up within 3 months of installing it in future reservations. So these little tidbits have helped, and people have seen that. So it's good.
Cool. And so can you just quickly touch on kind of how your business model works right now, where people can rent out the whole place, whether it's a wedding or a retreat, or what's your like main target market right now?
So I'll tell a funny story before I get into that. I'm going to do that, but you know, like I said, COVID changed a bunch, and there is no target market. That is the target. The target for me is volume. So keep the price reasonable. Barefoot anyone that comes here, 9 out of 10 guests, they look at it, they're like, we really rented this place, this entire place, for $1,000 a night? That's impossible. This should go for $3,000 a night. Honestly, it could easily go for $1,625. We've done the math on it.
Okay.
And we would still do it. But if I do that, I'm going to decrease my rate of occupancy by this percentage, which means I'm not getting service business. So to get down to it, basically what we have here is volume. I'm just trying to recapture. The question was
I just asked about like what year, so people rent it out for a nightly rate, and then you have all these extras.
Right. So
that
I was going to tell a funny story, but then I love the sound of my own voice and forgot. So what we're seeing now is after COVID, people love it because they see it online, because they go to the Dominican Republic, and this is one of the first listings on the entire island.
Right.
And they will book the place.
Yeah.
And they're like from North Dakota.
Yeah.
And after they book it, they ask me, so how do we get there? What airport are we flying into? Because they don't know.
Yeah.
So I guess what I'm saying is that the model has changed everything, and COVID has changed everything. So for us, I think I touched on it before. We are a business of groups, just groups. And there's a bunch of different groups out there. We don't target to any specific group.
Okay.
We target to all the groups, which keeps us busy. But basically, someone sees it online, they read it, and in the description it says, we're going to work with you to plan the best vacation ever.
Awesome.
So we get them in, we see what their group is. Once they book, and get some information from us, we start the process, hop on a Zoom call and say, hey, let's do this. What do you guys love? What do you guys want to do? Here's a list of things that we can do off property. What kind of food do you guys like? And we start building a vacation package for them, right?
So cool.
And once we do that, by the time they arrive here, they feel super safe because they're from, like I said, somewhere where they don't travel much, or they've never been to the Dominican before.
Yeah.
And they've definitely never been to the north coast of Dominican. Some people have been to Punta Cana to, that all-inclusive, you can be anywhere model. But for some people, it's kind of scary.
Yeah,
and
you build that rapport and that
Yeah.
trust, and they have an expectation when they get here.
So once they get here, now we're giving them a level of confidence to travel and to spend money. But that's the equation. Keep the price point for the rental low, and then build people's, build their vacation, customize it to their price point. Meaning, let's do this, but let's do it within your budget. And sometimes people come here and they just want to do it all themselves. They want to cook in our kitchens. They want to get their own
so that's
liquor.
an option.
That's an option.
Our
Our options are make it your own.
Cool.
There are people that come here and are doing some kite surfing lessons, meaning an all-inclusive doesn't necessarily work for them, right? They're off all day. So maybe we're just doing a dinner service. There's some people that just want to come here because they're cold and they want to sit right there,
Yeah.
stare at the sun all day long, jump in the pool when they're too hot, and literally have someone feed them mojitos at a 15-minute interval basis.
That sounds like what
And that is an all-inclusive package, right? So depending on the model and what they want, that's what we cater to. And this flexibility is the most important element to our business. It's more work for us, but in the end of the day, services make up a considerable portion of our revenue, and that allows us to keep the initial price point low. That's it in kind of a nutshell.
No, that's great. That's an amazing answer.
Right.
Okay, so, we've covered literally everything I wanted to talk about with you.
That's great. Okay.
Other than, just wait. Am I allowed to ask you how much your property has just naturally appreciated since you first built it?
Yeah, definitely. So from when Ev bought the land to now, a 4-digit % increase. I can't tell you the exact number because I honestly don't know it. But
what did you buy the land for?
I don't really remember. But it was literally probably under $100 per square meter.
Okay.
It's a lot more than that now.
Yeah.
You would know better than me.
Well, everything in East Cabretta, you're looking at 300 a meter. So,
yeah. So there's that, and then there's the buildings that were a lot cheaper to build then than now. But yeah, it's a tough one though. this is the kind of grand scale, and I guess to get back, because I don't want to point anyone in the bad direction. I think my advice on lawyer up, real estate up. There's a lot of different things to do here, but you want to do it smartly, and if you're going to do something large scale here, as with anything, you have to be here. That's with any business. I don't care if you're running a bodega on the Upper West Side of Manhattan, or you're trying to run an Airbnb in the Dominican Republic. If you are not involved, be wary of that. Do your homework. But yeah, there's a bunch of different things. There's so much potential here right now. It's really kind of exciting.
It's the land of opportunity.
Something like that.
Last thing I want to ask you, what has been your biggest challenge in owning, operating, managing, and scaling Barefoot?
So Barefoot and then the rest of it. Well, it's a two-part answer. Answer number one is you come here and you physically have to learn the hard way. It's a small community and we all love each other, but at the same time there's competition, so your friends won't necessarily tell you the best business practices. Hence your lawyer and your real estate agent and all that other fun stuff. So you learn the hard way here. And then staffing, that's one of the beautiful things about this island. Like you would have in Indonesia or India or Vietnam, labor is low cost, which means increased revenue. But at the same time, you need to train your staff, and that is hard. But once you do it, you're golden. So staffing would be one of them, and learning the hard way. And okay, why am I buying my groceries here and spending this amount of money when I can literally just go to Santiago, an hour and a half away, and shop for 80% of what I need once a month, and save about 30% of my costs.
Buy everything involved.
Those things take time to learn.
Okay.
The other thing is, don't get crazy and don't get stupid to some extent like Evelyn and I did. We saw so much success that we kept on going and empire building and this property and that property, and then we sit back at night, we're too tired to watch Netflix sometimes, and that's sad. So it's like,
this
what
is a phase in your life where it's just like, let's grind,
I mean,
let's
we
grind,
came
let's
here,
grind,
don't
and in
lose
10 years you're going to be laughing because you have all these successful
don't lose
businesses.
sight of the point. I came down here
to chill,
to chillax,
Me too,
I wanted
but that hasn't happened
I
yet.
know, you come down here, don't lose sight of what you come down here for.
Okay.
And the idea is that we are blessed to live in this beautiful place. Enjoy it. I am the only person that I know that does not kite surf or surf. And I've been here for 5 years.
Yeah, you live in Encuentro and you
I know,
don't surf.
I literally live where they surf. I can walk there in 5 minutes, which is sad. Which is really sad.
It's all good.
So I guess that would be the other half of that. The biggest challenge is finding some personal time to actually enjoy the fruits of your labor.
Right. And last question, I swear, what is the secret to receiving? I promise, I want to ask this one. What is the secret to receiving superhost status?
Oh, just
one secret. You're only allowed to give me one answer.
No, it's not a secret. It's just so easy. Really, guests come first. They come before money. That's the biggest mistake people make. They're like, man, if I give these people a free case of beer, I would have lost money on this reservation. Okay, yes, you did. But they're going to give you a review that's going to equal to 4 more reservations. So
referrals
think
are
big.
Everything.
Think
Referrals
big.
Are everything.
And then, when these people come in, it's referrals, but it's also that review. You gave them a case of beer, which costs you $40. That review is worth $4,000. Think outside the box and past your daily budget. That would be my biggest secret. Take care of your guests.
Amazing. Awesome, Ben.
Right.
Okay, so if you're looking to come to the DR with a large group for, family reunion, wedding, literally anything, whatever your little heart desires, I'm going to attach your Airbnb link to my podcast. If you can find a week that's available in the next 2 years,
we have multiple properties. We will help you out.
We have other properties, right? But Barefoot is it's special because it's right on the beach.
It's the jam.
But yes, okay, Ben. Thank you so much for your time.
Always a pleasure, Josie.
For providing so much value, my neighbor. And if you haven't already subscribed to my podcast, please do so. If you got value from this episode, please share it. And if you don't follow me yet on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube, you can follow me now at Josie Sells DR. We will see you next week in the next episode. Adios.
Ciao, guys.